Let's do a self-exploration meditation on Atmanirvriti chapter 13, the non-existence of thought. Let's sit comfortably. Let's keep our eyes open during this meditation. Without moving your body, keeping it still. Simply relax into your chair. Look around at your own room. Notice that the physical plane of objects is a part of the single screen thought. The walls, the furniture, the computer, your own physical body are simply labels of Nama Rupa on the single screen thought. Ask yourself this question. What is it that makes this gross world gross? What is the main attribute of this gross world that qualifies it to be called gross? You will notice it is time and space. Time and space attribute the quality of grossness to the so-called physical world. Let's look at time carefully. Do you experience time in your own direct experience? Examine the single screen thought. Do you experience the so-called present in this single screen? Or is time merely an idea? Merely another mental label? If time could be directly experienced we would have experienced past and future directly. By stepping out of the present and going to the past or to the future. But this does not happen. We see that in our own aparoksha gyan, in our own direct knowledge. Time is absent. But there is something else that is giving the illusion of time to this gross physical world. What is that? There is a continuity to awareness. From my own aparoksha gyan, from my own direct knowledge, I can see that awareness is like an infinite, vast expanse that is eternal. It is beginningless and endless. From this stand as the awareness, I recognize awareness as infinity. This is aparoksha gyan, my direct knowledge that I recognize only at this paramarthic level, only at the level where I take the stand as awareness. When I step down to the level of the mind, which is the pratibhasic level, and I take the stand as the mind, what happens? Mind is equal to thought. When thought looks at this infinite awareness, it does not understand it because there is no gap there. A gap or an interval is required for the mind to understand something and label it. The mind looks at the eternal aspect of awareness, which is beginningless and endless, without a gap, without an interval, and the mind gets confused. The mind is used to the gap. That is why it can label something as that which begins, exists, and lasts for some time and finally ends. That is what the mind can easily label. Awareness is beginningless, endless, without a gap. The mind cannot comprehend it. And because mind cannot comprehend it, the mind creates a story to fill up its gaps of understanding. The mind's story labels the eternal nature of awareness as time. From the point of view of thought, eternity is time. This is how the story of time is created. This is how time is a mental construct and belongs only to the gross physical world and the mental world. Now let's look at space. As space exists at the vyavharik level only, the transactional level of the gross physical world, we will have to step down to the level of the body and take the stand as the body. Taking the stand as the body, look at the room again and ask yourself, what is space? From the level of the body, you will see everything as objects, and the distance between objects is equal to space. Now take the stand as the awareness again. When I don't have the proof of the existence of separate objects, do I have proof of a space existing between them? On careful examination, I will know that I only know perceptions of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. I do not know objects. I only know perception. On careful examination, it will be seen that perception is also a thought. When perception looks at awareness, it does not understand it because there is no gap there. Awareness is continuous, beginningless, endless, without a break. Awareness is infinite. The ability of perception is limited to length, breadth, and height of objects and the distance between them. The distance between them has been labeled as space. Perception can function accurately only within this limitation. Anything outside the domain range of length, breadth, and height confuses perception. The single screen of infinite awareness, beginningless, endless, and gapless, therefore confuses perception. As there is this gap in understanding for the mind, it again creates a story. The mind's story labels the nature of infiniteness of awareness as space. Both time and space are simply ideas, are simply mental constructs. These mental constructs have defined the eternal nature of awareness as time and the infinite nature of awareness as space. There is no reality in these ideas, as reality is simply awareness. Time is an idea. Space is an idea. Hence, causality, one event leading to the other, is also an idea. Time, space, and causality form the basis of this gross physical world. Therefore, the entire basis of this gross physical world is simply an idea, a thought. This proves that the gross physical plane does not exist as gross. It is merely an idea, a mere thought, a single screen thought. Thus, we see experientially through aparoksha gyan, direct knowledge, that objects are reduced to thought, a single screen thought. Now the question arises, can there be a subtle object? A subtle object is a mental object. We use the word mental object for thoughts and feelings in normal spiritual parlance. Can there be a subtle object? A subtle object is nothing but a thought form. If I say, I think of an object, it would mean that the thought and the object would need to be two entities existing together in one single thought. But one thought cannot exist in another. Therefore, objects cannot even exist at a subtle level. The word mental object is also simply an idea. Therefore, objects cannot exist at gross level or at subtle level. This proves the non-existence of objects. So far, we have seen that thought cannot hold an object, whether gross or subtle. This means that thought is actually objectless. Let's test this in our direct experience. Take the stand as awareness now and look carefully at your single screen. On this single screen thought, do you find any gross objects? Do you find any subtle objects? Can you say the gross object or subtle object ends here and awareness begins here? You will notice that it is simply all pervading awareness. The material out of which the so-called gross and subtle objects are made up of is awareness. There is no object there in your single screen thought. What you call a thought, can it be made of a separate material other than awareness? Only if it were made of another material other than awareness could you call it as not being objectless. But we notice that thought disappears into awareness. It completely vanishes and dissolves. Just like a wave of water disappears into the water of the ocean. The wave is made of water, that is why it can dissolve into the ocean water. If it were made of oil, it would not dissolve and disappear into the ocean water. Thought disappears and dissolves into awareness. This means that thought is made up of awareness. Thought itself is objectless. Now look at your single screen. You will notice that it is simply a single screen of awareness. A thought is not a thought at all if it is objectless. How many objectless entities can there be? Objectlessness is a quality of pure consciousness, of pure awareness only. Thus, there is nothing like thought either. There is only a single screen of awareness. Thus, we have seen experientially that thought is reduced to consciousness. Earlier, we saw that gross objects are reduced to thought, a single screen thought. Now, we saw that thought is reduced to consciousness. This proves the non-existence of objects as well as the non-existence of thought. The non-existence of objects proves that the physical body does not exist. The non-existence of thought proves the non-existence of the mind. The mind does not exist. The witness consciousness is simply an I thought, simply the sense of I am. As we just saw, that thought is nothing else but objectless consciousness. This proves that the witness consciousness also does not exist. The body, the mind, the witness are all reduced to pure consciousness. There is only pure consciousness. There is no world, no body, no mind, no witness. There is only the absolute reality. The absolute is unborn and eternal. Ajata. Ajata. Unborn. Eternal. This is the same as Buddha's description of Anutpada. No origin. Ajata. Anutpada. Ajata.